Welcome to the Techegy podcast. This is our very first podcast, and the podcast is about everything from retro computers and gaming to modern computers and gaming. Every month, we will bring you the latest in modern technology as well as delving into the past. If you like what we are bringing to you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoy it.
Techegy, hey, John and Mike. Funny story here for you guys. I'll tell you real quick. John, when you started talking, I forgot to hit record for the audio. So at the end of this, you're gonna have to say it again.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, good.
That's all right. That's all right. I might be able to pull it from the video, but I was sitting here and you're talking. I'm like, oh geez, I didn't hit record for the audio, just for the podcast. So that's okay.
He did a perfect beginning there too, which I'll never be able to do again.
It was great. It
was really good.
We didn't have this many problems when we were doing the test. I don't know what happened. It was weird. Like at the top, it said YouTube. It says live on YouTube, but when I went to the channel, the video wasn't live. And I had to sit there and keep refreshing, and then it went live. So that was the confusion. I don't know what happened, but here we are, Techegy Podcast, episode number 1. Today's date is Sunday, November 22nd. It's 9:32 Eastern Time. What's going on, guys?
I don't know. Maybe we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
All right, my name is Mike Shashini. I've been gaming for a heck of a long time and like a lot of computer stuff. And so we decided to make a podcast. So who's next?
Worst mistake we've ever made, probably.
Hey, it's John Mazer. And I'm sort of like Mike. I've been into technology for a long time, and not so much the gaming part, although I did start in gaming in 77, and I sort of got out of it in the late 80s and early 90s, and I haven't really been back into it since then, but I'm hoping to get back in very soon. So, but anyway, John?
Cool. Yeah, my name's John Cornwell. I've been gaming since 1994, I guess. It's the earliest that I think I can remember, picking up a game. But like John and also like Mike, I'm not just a gamer. I tinker around with technology. I don't know what you guys are working on in that, but one of the things I'm trying to do now with some spare time is I'm trying to learn how to properly solder, because I'd like to start working on old motherboards and stuff for some retro PC and that. And soldering is not my strength. So that's what I'm working on. That's like one of the things. I actually just ordered another Raspberry Pi. I ordered the full keyboard one, by the way, John, because I want to do some retro emulation on a piece of devoted hardware.
So you're gonna desolder that whole board?
No, not not the Raspberry Pi. So one of the things I'm looking for right now is like the IBM PC Junior. I would like to get one, and there's a lot of upgrading for that, and it's not as simple as the Amiga where you can just pop a cartridge in it. You have to actually solder stuff on the motherboard.
Right.
And I've soldered stuff before, I know you guys definitely have, but that's not my strong point. No one ever really taught me. My dad did it with ham radios and stuff, but I never really learned it. So
I soldered water pipes.
I'm going to solder copper from your basement and take it home. That's my first step. That's how I'm going to test my skills. But that's some stuff I'm working on, just thinking of stuff off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm always playing with stuff. What are you guys playing with?
Well, I recently just found my old Radio Shack car computer. So
nice.
Lately, that's what I've been messing with. And with that, you can upgrade it if you want to solder new memory in or something like that.
But, so it's not hot swappable or anything. You actually have to solder everything on board.
No, they didn't have sockets in there, so you do have to solder in to the motherboard.
What does the? Sorry, I'm not super familiar with the Coco. What does the RAM chips and what do the chipsets look like on those? Are those the prong? I forget what they're called. The prong one, the dim ones.
Yeah, they're the prong chips. They're the old style chips, and they usually have.
They just plug into a socket.
What's that?
They plug into a socket.
Well, not on that one. They were soldered in.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. So, it depends on what model you got. If you got the newest one, I think it had a socket. But if you're trying to move from the 8-bit one, like there was a Radio Shack color computer 1, 2, and 3. Of course, it was 8-bit, then 16-bit, then 32-bit. I think.
I think I read that the other day when we were talking about it.
Yeah. So, but you could take your first ones and upgrade them. But it's talking about unsoldering, chips and soldering new chips in. So, I mean, they do make some add-on boards. You can unsolder like one chip and solder it into that socket or something. But a lot of that's beyond me. I mean, might be able to look it up and figure it out, but I don't know offhand exactly how it's done.
So
what I liked about it is it did play games with cartridges, just like an Atari cartridge.
Right.
You plugged in the side, or it had BASIC on there. You could write your own games.
Does it take diskettes and floppies too, or is it just cartridges?
You could use a 5 1/4 floppy and cassettes, and basically you could write in games in BASIC or assemble language on that machine. I know a teeny bit about BASIC, so I was going to try to get back into that and try to maybe not write a game, but maybe do something like a Christmas picture on there where the Christmas tree is light bulb light on it or something. I know I did that when I was young. So
hey, how quick can you program that, Mike?
How quick can I program?
Yeah,
that?
We could do that. We could do a Christmas special where Mike's the live programming.
Maybe next Christmas, not this one.
Is it gonna take you till next Christmas?
I mean, I just started messing with it. I mean, I did find an emulator for it that I can actually do it on my computer, so I don't have to actually turn that on. And actually doing it on a computer, it's easier to save everything. Right now, since I don't have a disk drive, or at least I can't find a disk drive for it. I know we used to have all that stuff. Since I can't find that, there is something I could buy online to use an SD card, but that's $50, and maybe I'll get that at a later date, and then start using the machine itself.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of retro computers, especially have the new modifications that you can add. Not even always SD cards. The compact flash cards. Sometimes I see people using for depending on what the PC was. You said before we started this podcast, we were kind of talking, and one of the things you mentioned was a Cocoa Color Computer Festival coming up. I'm kind of doing
supposedly in March of 2021, if it happens, and it's out in Chicago.
I love Chicago. Deep dish pizza all the way. I will get sick. I did the last time I went. Hey, that's where I met David Arquette. That was in Chicago.
Wrestling.
Yeah, 2018. But so I was, anyways, my story was I'm looking for this festival or this computer thing, and what I found something called the Glenside TRS-80 Cocoa Color Computer.
That's where it's at.
That's it?
The Glenside one, yep.
Okay. So they're actually a club. They have meetings.
Yeah.
Too, it looks like.
They have meetings, it's a club, but they're I guess they're hosting the convention there.
Okay. Do you know where it said in Chicago, or you just saw it was in Chicago?
Well, it is in Glenside there, somewhere in there. I mean, I didn't see the address of the convention center or wherever.
It says Cocoa. I guess
but they've been having it for the last 30 years or something.
I guess if I click the thing that's flashing that says Cocoa Fest on it, it might tell me.
Yeah, it might. It'd be easier for you than me trying to go by memory. It's
They're talking. Oh, they are right there. Cocoa Fest 2021. I invite you to attend. I have another scheduled meeting, something going on. But I wanted to talk about their website a little bit because it looks like it's from the 90s. I like it. It looks like it's from 1998.
Well, yeah, that was probably when it was put up there. It hasn't been modified since.
Hey, I've noticed, especially with the tech world and stuff, a lot of these web pages, the retro web pages are starting to make a comeback. So whether they intended this to be a thing or not, I like it. It's simple and it's.
Well, I hate to say it. I think some of the older technology was funner to play with. I mean, with that, you got multiple things you can do, not just play games. You can program your own, Hello World or something on there, or a text adventure game or something you can make. I mean, it's,
Hey, speaking
it's
of Hello
different
World,
than nowadays, everything's done for you. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah, speaking of Hello World, our contact email is actually helloworld@techegy.me. So, you have anything you want to tell us, any pictures you want to send us, anything you want to talk about, we're open to having people on to discuss stuff with us too. Something to show us. Any listener, shoot us an email at helloworld@techegy.me. Our website is techegy.me. You can go on there. As you know, we said you can subscribe to our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Podcasts is where we're going to be. Yeah, so it looks like they've been doing this since 2014 is what I'm seeing. You can look at photo albums. I don't know. I'm sorry. This really interested me when you said it. Because one, like I said, I love Chicago, and two, I want to check this out. I actually was looking at buying Coco online. We talked about this, Mike, then maybe we would work on them together or something. Because you can get them on eBay, they're really not that expensive for whatever reason. I don't know if there's just not a collector's market for it or anything.
Well, I mean, it seems like they're so old nobody really even knows about them anymore. Yeah, the younger generation probably never even heard of it.
Well, except for the games. For some reason, the games, some of them are $10, and then some of them are what was that one? It was like $2,000 the other day when we were looking.
Yeah, but most of them are knockoff games. Like they have Donkey Kong and Asteroids and all that, but they're not. They're close, but they're not exactly the same. But I like it because a lot of the games were like unique. They're different, So
yeah, it looks like they do this at the Fairfield Inn in Glenside.
Okay.
You're already at the hotel. You don't even have to go anywhere. Well, hopefully this ends up happening because this looks pretty cool. I like what the pictures. It looks like they're giving out some kind of awards for something. I don't know, maybe nicest Coco computer or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks pretty cool. So if anyone wants to check that out, that website's glensideccc.com.
I mean, what is cool about the Coco too is it came with a manual. It was really thick that actually taught you how to program in BASIC. And it's not like today's .NET where it's super, super hard. Back in BASIC was, line 10, line 20, line 30, go to line 10. It was a simpler language to learn than all this nowadays stuff. And all the commands are kind of written out like you're going to print something. It's actually called print. It's a lot simpler. I think nowadays things are just got so complex that I don't know, for people like me, it's just too hard to program on a newer system.
You don't want to be a full stack developer?
No.
You gotta learn all that fancy stuff. Anything from Python to there's so many of them that have weird names now. I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head for some of that stuff.
We didn't lose John, did we?
I don't know. I saw him. He did do something, and then I saw him walk away. So I'm assuming he's coming back.
Okay.
I'm going to make that assumption that he's probably coming back, which is bad timing there, John Mazer, because I was about ready to ask you what you knew about the Coco color computer, if you've ever worked with it and what you're working on, but you're not sitting here anymore. So we're just going to make stuff up.
Well, maybe what we should do is, why don't we talk about the game systems we owned? I know he's not on right at the moment, but I could show some pictures of the ones I owned, and then we can move on to the ones you owned.
There he is. Yeah.
John's back. We can have him talk about the ones he owned growing up.
I did real quick since he came back though. I do want to ask you, John, since we were all talking about projects we're working on, what do you got going on in your neck of the woods?
I'm doing, a lot. I'd like to do a lot of testing with the Linux systems. So I typically do that a lot. So
your entire CD booklet of like 500 Linux distros.
Yeah, but maybe in the future podcast we can discuss and show. There's a new website that allows you to access a virtual Linux server that allows you to basically try the systems out without actually having to burn them to a
cool
DVD.
Definitely we'll do that.
Burn them onto a thumb drive. So, but
yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of interest.
I wanted to mention, you guys were talking about the Radio Shack computer. I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in. There are so many people out there keeping those systems alive, whether it's the Radio Shack or the Commodore 64 or the Amiga or the ColecoVision or the Atari 2600. It's just amazing how these systems continue to the programmers are so much better now than they were back then. And they're doing really some amazing things with these 8-bit systems that there's games that are being developed that look like they're the Nintendo Entertainment System games. They're just awesome graphics and music and sound and so forth. So, and I'll just give you an example. I'm big into the ColecoVision because that was the last system that I owned before I sort of got out of the gaming. And I was doing a search I spent like 4 hours one night just doing a search, and I came up with, there were hundreds of websites just dedicated to the ColecoVision system. And you can, how to do programming on it, where to find cartridges, how to get the ROMs that are out there if you wanted to use the ROMs on your system. So it's just amazing. And I'm sure if I did a search for the other systems, you would find equally a number of websites for those systems as well. So, but anyway, basically into the Linux, like, getting back to your original question there, basically into the testing of the Linux systems, a lot of Raspberry Pi stuff, things like that, just tinkering around. I haven't been dealing with the 3D printing as much, but, I'm hoping to get back into that a little bit, but
I still need to use. I bought that one and it's just sitting there. I haven't used it yet.
yeah,
I
and
need to get back to mine too.
I don't. One of my biggest drawbacks. I mean, I have a printer, but it's just, again, it's sitting because I just don't have the space to have a dedicated spot for it. So I don't want to have to keep pulling it out and bringing it, putting it away and bringing it back out. So anyway,
Sure.
But yeah, those are the kind of things I'm working on and things I'm doing. That's all I have to say. So.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, I was reading some here real quick. I wanted to mention, this might be useful for you, Mike. This is back to the Glenside Coco Tandy Computer Club, whatever. The next meeting looks like it's on. Oh, I just accidentally clicked on the page. It's on the next month on the 19th, I think. Looks like they have a cup. Well, no, it's on the 17th. Sorry. Next month on the 17th, and it looks like they're talking about Tandy assembly. They're going to put one together or something, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, you guys were mentioning that maybe if it gets canceled in person, maybe they will do a virtual.
It looks like they do their virtual meetings on something called the Blue Jeans Network. What is that? I've never heard of that, but
I've heard of that. Yeah.
Oh, have you? Okay. All right.
It's actually quite popular.
I'm not popular enough for me to know about it, apparently. Or maybe what I should say is that that maybe I'm just not important enough to know about it.
Yeah, if you
never know it all.
If you go to bluejeans.com, it'll pop up for you.
Well, I clicked on the meeting because I thought it was going to show me more info, but it started downloading the client to my computer as a DMG because I'm on Mac right now. But I didn't know what it was. I was like, whoa! What's downloading a disk image on my computer right now?
I think it's actually it looks like Verizon owns them.
Oh, okay.
And it's more for for commercial and business type video conferencing.
Excuse me. So it looks like this Tandy assembly thing is actually another club that they do stuff about, because I'm on their website right now and they're selling like t-shirts and stuff on here. So like they must be doing a dual club meeting or something that I don't know. I thought maybe it was going to be putting a Tandy together, but it doesn't appear that that's actually what it is. So I just totally made that up. Like everything else in my life, it's made up in a lie. So
does it look like they're
yeah, do you want me to share my screen so you can see
does it look like they have a lot of members?
I do.
Can't tell.
Why don't you share your screen and show the
Yeah.
website at least?
Let me share my screen. Well, yeah, I had issues last night, so I'm just going to share the Safari. Or wait, I'm not even using Safari. I'm using Edge. Share computer sound, optimize. Boom. Share. Boom. Let's hope we get the right thing. Can you guys see that?
I do. It looks
So
right.
obviously, you'll see this if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch when we upload it there, but you're not going to see this in a podcast. And if you do, you need to go to the doctors and get checked out because something's not right.
Well, hey, John, why don't we mention, for those people who are just listening to the podcast, just mention the URL so they can maybe go to it if they'd like to.
Yeah, and anything we talk about like this, I'll put in the description, the video description too, or in the podcast description, so we can give, we'll help these sites get some traffic. At least 3 people will be on these websites, us. So, but this is the Glenside TRS 80 Color Computer Club is glensideccc.com. Looks like they need to upgrade to HTTPS though. It's not.
It costs money.
I know. I know. Well, hey, ours is safe. It came from Cloudflare. We're secured by Cloudflare. That's what we are. So you're looking to see how many. I don't really see anything on here. Maybe if I went in here, to like last. Let's look at photos. See if we can get an idea of people. Okay. All right. Let's go here. So we're clicking into the albums. I wanted to look at the pictures. See, this is what I mean. There's some kind of award that looks pretty cool. It's an award for the 25th annual Last Chicago Cocoa Fest. 16 obviously not accurate because they say they're having one in 2021, but maybe they stopped them for a while. It said the one in 2020 was canceled because of COVID, obviously, but I don't know. But that looks cool. It's a little trophy and it has like a the color computer on it, like an image of it, and it's almost knocked my water over. It looks pretty cool. I'm getting
that one says it's the last one.
I know, but that's why I said I don't think that maybe it was in 2016, but then they must have brought it back because if you notice, there's nothing after 2016. That was the latest, and then they were going to do one this year, but Governor Pritzker in Illinois shut everything down, like a lot of other places, so they weren't able to do it this year. But it does say, because Mike was right, it does say in the description that they're going to be having one next year in March. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but they're talking about it. So,
well, like you said, maybe if they don't hold the in-person one, they can maybe have a virtual one. So
yeah, it looks like they're doing this. Well, they're doing this in a hotel meeting area, conference room.
Yeah, you see how the cartridge goes in the side of them, though?
Yeah, that's the Amiga. A lot of the PC ones started like that, like the MSX. Did the ColecoVision go in the side? I don't remember.
It went from the top.
Okay. What about the Commodore 64? I don't.
From the back.
From the back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
but
was
I'm pretty sure you're gonna have to correct me. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody can correct me in the comments and say how stupid I am. But I'm pretty sure the Amiga side loads as well.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I know when the Commodore.
Oh boy, there's Mike's friends.
When the Commodore 64 came out, you had the option of they had some cartridges and they also had a floppy disk drive that you could load stuff from. So
yes,
but I don't.
Yes, the Amiga's that way too. You can load floppies. You can also load like the diskettes, and you can, I believe there's an adapter for a cassette. Not entirely sure. I forgot to mention, everyone, I actually just bought an Amiga 500, and I bought some stuff. I'm upgrading the board, so it's going to get a 512 kilobyte RAM upgrade. Wow, right? That's crazy. That's really modern and blowing away on the RAM there. And I'm also going to be upgrading the processor on it to a little bit quicker of a processor. And the name of it's escaping me right now, so I apologize that I don't have that name in front of me. But the upgrades are pretty easy. The Amiga just had you pull the bottom off the bottom and you just plug in the RAM upgrade. It goes straight in. It's like a cart. It goes straight in there. So it looks like, I can't really tell. I can see a reflection here of people, and it looks like there's, I don't know how many people we're going to guess, maybe 30 people here. But these are going to be diehard Coco and Tandy users. These, I don't know if this is something that the general public's going to be coming and hanging out and saying, wow, this is cool. Let's all look at these Coco computers. But I'm interested. I told you guys, I will get the rental and I will drive us.
Well, John, it's no different than any other system. People that really love that system, they're the diehard
Oh boy,
people that come to these conferences.
look at that game, Mike. You
Yeah,
like
it's the
that?
old Atari adventure game. Like, hey, you notice this mod? There's a module on the side that plugs in and lets you put
Yeah.
all the extra cartridges in.
Oh, okay. So is there like?
I used to have one. I don't know what happened to it.
What? How does? Can you put upgrade stuff in? Like the Sega Saturn has the RAM upgrade that you put in as an actual cartridge on the
Well,
top. Is that what this is?
What this does is it makes your one port for cartridges into 4, and then what you can do is, I don't know if you see the big cartridge sticking up. That's a extra sound card. Since this machine used the processor to create sound, the sound wasn't the greatest, so they created a card that you could put in the expansion thing here to make higher, better sound. You get 32-bit sound, and then you could actually put different things in here, like a game cartridge in one of them. And there was a selector on the front. You selected what you wanted to use. There was actually a cartridge that went in there that you could control your house appliances and lights.
What?
Yeah, it actually, you put a cartridge in there and it actually ran some kind of, I don't know how they did it, like radio. They did some kind of wireless to these boxes that you'd plug in your outlets, and then you plug your devices into like a lamp.
God, that sounds like a fire hazard.
Well, no, it was actually pretty cool. I mean, my dad was actually trying to make a thing that we could do a train layout and have everything controlled by the color computer. We did get a little bit of it going, but then like everything else, you ran out of time, and
if I'm not mistaken,
it never happened.
If I'm not mistaken, back then the technology was called X10.
X10.
And because I had some of those modules that you would actually replace your light switches and receptacles, and then it would use the I'm trying to think if it was wireless. I thought it ran along the wiring in your home. It used a radio signal to run along the wiring, and then it would send a signal to that. It would send a signal to that device that you had replaced in your outlet or your switch.
Yeah, you're right. It did do that. And then what was I going to say? You're also, their joysticks were even different back then. They weren't like the spring-loaded ones, so.
Right.
When you used it, it actually had every pixel depending on where you put it.
Were their joysticks, were they analog or were they digital?
They were analog.
Okay.
Yeah, they were analog. They had the micro switches.
Right. Yeah, there, John. Your X10 is a protocol for communications among electronic devices used for home automation. That's
it looks like they still have valid websites there.
Yeah, guys,
Here's what was nice about it. Radio Shack used to sell all kind of different stuff for it. It was what was nice.
That's where I got my stuff from Radio Shack.
I'm not gonna lie, it'd be really cool to get my hands on some of the older automation stuff and actually try, because you guys, like I have a lot of automation in my home, and it's all tied into my into Alexa. My Ring, and I have some lights and stuff, and
I had a lot of that stuff I got rid of. I had tons of that stuff.
Oh yeah, this is legit old.
Yep,
new
there
stuff.
they are right there.
Yeah.
That's how I burned my house down.
Those are all the ones I used to have.
Is there an ordinance in Euclid that I have to warn the fire warden if I'm gonna I'm gonna do this?
Okay, I will tell you this though. This stuff was in its infancy.
Sure.
And it was hit or miss with some of the stuff. It wasn't really perfected per se. And now it's
that was 35 years ago.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game, right?
Absolutely. But I still think it would be cool to at least say that I was able to get one of these.
I want to share something with you here because
absolutely,
this is how far we've come with technology. I was just able to link up my Amazon Echo to my printer, and now I can tell my printer to print through my Alexa.
What did you name your printer anything special, like a name? Did you Bob print for me?
No, you just give it the command name that I have. I never change mine. I just have it as Alexa, but I just tell it Alexa, then I tell it what I want it to print. It prints it.
I thought you were actually going to share your screen. That's why that's why I stopped sharing mine.
No. But how I found out about it, I got an email from Amazon that said you can now, hook up your Epson printer to and then you can give it commands. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So
yeah, that is cool. That's cool. I don't actually own a printer.
yeah, I was shocked. I didn't think that.
I have enough problems with my mom's printer and helping her that I don't need my own printer problems. I'm good. If I need to print something out, then somebody's gonna have to send me to Kinko's.
Yeah,
that's so it looks like
we still we're a little bit older, in our family, and we're kind of old school, so we still like to have hard copies of stuff. So
sure. Going back to some of these photos from this convention, it looks like a lot of people have I don't know specifically what they're doing. And I know I've done some research about the Amiga and setting it up, certain things. You can use Windows PC to burn. There's software that I actually bought. I think it was like $10, and you burn it turns your Amiga into a server essentially, and you send commands from the Windows PC to your Amiga, and it burns on a diskette, whatever software or a game, backup. If you're making a backup for a game, the legal way. But it looks like a lot of people are controlling these Coco computers with another PC. I saw an image here where the guy was, he had it set up with his MacBook. Where did that go? Right here. He's doing something with it because it looks like you see right here, he's got some kind of, I don't know if that's a USB to something. That's definitely USB. Looking at my Mac, that's where the USB's at. But it's maybe a USB to serial port. Did they have serial ports on what were the ports on the Coco?
Probably the RS-232s.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them on the back, and
so I wonder what he's doing there.
He's interfacing with it somehow.
Is that an Arduino? Is that an Arduino? Right? What is that? Right here. It's it's some kind of board.
Can you blow up that picture a little bit?
Oh, probably.
That might be for his monitor. That might be changing the analog to HDMI or VGA.
Yeah, it looks like it's some kind, but it's an actual.
It's some kind of interface that goes between
like a daughter board interface or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it has only an analog out. That's what I'm having trouble with. Without the old TVs, you need some kind of converter board to go to a monitor or a TV. Yeah,
that's what it is. I just remembered. I'm talking about the Amiga 500 a lot, but that's because I just bought it and I actually bought a lot of stuff for it. But I had to buy, an adapter because I don't have a CRT that has a SCART, an SCART, SCART connector. So I had to get an adapter for that to go to HDMI. But I read a lot of people were advising against, a couple groups I joined for the Amiga 500. They were advising against converting pretty much any of these over to HDMI, especially if you're using it for gaming. Maybe somebody in the comments or somebody can shoot us an email, helloworld@techegy.me, and they can tell us what their opinion is. But a lot of people were saying that there's too much of a delay if you're playing faster games between the output on the Amiga and the older PC systems to HDMI. So do you guys have experience converting stuff to HDMI from these older machines?
I don't know.
I don't, not yet.
No.
I will sometime.
Yeah. So if anybody has an opinion about that, go ahead.
By the way, they used to have a modem for this to get on the internet, which was just bulletin boards back then.
That was the fun stuff.
So, and actually I have a modem for mine, but I have, it's a modem card, but I don't have dial-up or anything anymore. So
I wonder if this guy knows that his PC's upside down.
No, that's his Coco upside down.
Does he know that? Does he know that's upside down?
See all the ports on the back of it there. If you look. And then you see there's a printer with it. So we used to have a printer. I know we did. We used to have a monitor that came with it special, so it'd look clearer.
Yeah, look. Yeah, there's a printer right. Looks like a printer. Is that a dot matrix printer?
Yep, dot matrix.
Cool. I actually found, well, this wasn't recent, but we found one in my mom's house. No idea if it works. I don't even remember the brand, but something cool. I'd like to, maybe I can find a way to get that plugged into the Amiga and see if I can print some, because they used to make software applications, and I know it's on the Amiga, it's on the PC Junior, all those DOS IBM compatibles, that you could make banners and then you just continuously printed them on your dot matrix, and they look really stupid, but they look cool at the
You
same
know what's
time.
nice about these old systems? They don't run hot, so you don't have to worry about them burning up. So they last forever, just about. You have to wait for the chips to deteriorate or something. But I'm not going to say it doesn't get warm, but it doesn't need all kind of fans in there and all that stuff to keep things cold.
Right.
And that's why they've lasted 35 years. You wouldn't find a normal computer lasting that long.
That guy's real happy. He's at Cocoa Fest. He loves it. He's having a great time.
Just so you know, if you read the thing, some of these Cocoa Fest guys are actually some of the guys that actually wrote the programs in the beginning for it.
Is that an original board in there?
Not the blue one. That's an add-on for memory.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's like up on top. What's this Faraday cage that's going on here in the left?
I don't know. Mine doesn't have that.
It looks like the power supply.
Is that stopping?
Yeah, I don't think mine looks like that.
Is that in case there's an EMP, all of the Cocoa computers will still work and we can power the nation?
You can see this guy's got a couple daughter boards. He's got one to the right too. If you look at mine, it's just one big board. That's all it is.
There's this PayPal if anybody wants to send the money. You should send it to us instead, though. He's got something. I don't know what that says. Something interface. It's some kind of card, maybe it's an application.
Well, it was neat. They used to make all these cartridges that did different things. Like a modem, like like I said, to control electronic things. Synthesizers for music. I mean, it was actually neat.
There you go, youngest man in the room. This honestly, this looks cool. What this is it looks like a bunch of super nerds that really like the Cocoa computer, and they have a festival once a year, for 2 days. I think it said it was 2-day event. It looks like this one they're holding in just a conference room at a hotel somewhere in Glenside, Illinois, wherever that is. I'm guessing it's outside of Chicago. It's a suburb or something. But it looks cool. It looks like there's probably about 30 people with tables set up here from what I can see in these pictures. And if this ends up happening and we don't have to worry about COVID in March next year, which I'm highly doubting, but I am 100% down for a road trip with this. This would be super cool.
Yeah, you see this old guy here in the beginning here. He has Cocoa 1. You can tell by its gray or silver as color.
Was that
Although he put a different keyboard in it down the bottom of the big picture.
Where do you see that?
You moved it. You can go back to the other picture.
Oh, right here? Yeah. Isn't that the one you have? Or do you have a gray?
No, I have the newer one. Well, I have this gray one too, but it's all tore apart. I got to see if it works. I think
is that a metal case or is that plastic?
It's plastic painted gray.
Metallic.
It actually, everyone's usually where your hands go, it rubbed off. It's black plastic underneath.
Well, I just saw a My Little Pony thing there, so I think we're going to skip this.
Oh yeah, you don't want to.
Not going to a brony festival, but this must be the Cocoa Wizard over here.
Yeah.
We'll move on to a separate subject before I start making fun of everything.
We should move on to what we were going to talk about.
Yeah. So I guess before we went on this giant color computer spiel, which is okay. Obviously we like talking about this kind of stuff, and you can see that I'm going to check more out on this website. This is real cool. Again, one more time, it's glensideccc.com. But we are going to, since this is our first episode, we're going to talk about some of the systems and computers and stuff we grew up with, some of the games we played, and we did talk just a tiny bit about it. But, anyone feel free to step in here and start going off. Mike, I know you're itching. You're itching over there. We got to get you some talcum powder or something. So,
well, I just figure we should go around the room and talk about the gaming systems we had, since that's what we were going to do.
Sure.
And I got some pictures to show the ones I had.
Let me stop sharing my screen here in case I accidentally
have today.
Windows. I don't know what all these windows that I had open, all those tabs are. I'm scared to click on them.
Well, let me try to screen share here. And I'll show you the very first system I had. Now, can you guys see this?
Yeah, Pong.
Okay, well, when in like 1972, I think. Don't quote the years because I can't remember that far back. But this is the first system my dad bought for us to play games, which was Pong, with the two knobs. And me and my brothers used to fight over, since there was four of us, who got to play. And but this is the first system I owned. And then I moved up to the old Magnavox Odyssey 2, which was another cool system because you had cartridges and you had a keyboard, so you could play games like Hangman and stuff like that you couldn't play on Atari. And Atari was its competitor at the time. But the graphics on this were, I want to say, not as quite as good as Atari. So,
Okay. I was going to ask you that.
but it had a lot of gadgets, different joysticks, and also they had a printer because you could actually do documents and stuff on this game system too. And me and my dad were big on, he wanted me to learn computers, and that's why every game system he bought me, he wanted to have some kind of keyboard on it. But anyway, so that was the second system I had. And then I moved on to the Sega and Sega Genesis, and then I also bought the Sega CD, and looks exactly the system I have here. The only problem is the CD laser is broke, so I'm thinking about getting it repaired, but maybe someday. But I actually have two or three of these Sega systems, and pretty much, I mean, I used to have almost all the cartridges, but I gave them to a friend, and then for his daughter, and then after she grew up, he gave them back to me, but he kept the good ones. But we won't
Yeah, of
go
course
there.
he did. Of course.
You know,
Do you want to name drop him so we can?
no, I don't. No, he's a nice guy, but
sounds like a jerk. Sounds like a real jerk.
well, no, I told him he could have the stuff, and then when he come back to me and said she's old enough, she don't want the play to play it that much anymore, and so he gave me back stuff. He just didn't give it all back to me. So, but then I moved on to the 360, and actually between me and my son, we owned every one of these. So I actually have three 360s, and these are the three I owned. And then, of course, I moved up to the Xbox One I actually had to connect on a 362, but with the Connect, and I had actually the day one version, which was the Scorpio or something. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I think it was called Scorpio, wasn't
Yeah, I
it?
actually have that. Well, I have two of these. He had one, I had one. And then I moved up and I bought the Xbox Series, or not Series, Xbox One X. This is the Xbox One X. And so I still have all them.
The names keep getting longer as the generation.
And then, of course, thanks to John, I had bought one of these for my son, the Xbox Series X. And then John bought one, but then he was nice enough to sell it to me, so we both have one.
I sold it, just to be clear, I gave it to him. I didn't upsell it.
No, John sold it to me at cost. In fact, I might have made out on a deal. You never know. But he was nice enough to do that, and then now he's trying to get one, having a hard time, which is bad. But so I'm hoping he is lucky enough to get one here.
I can't believe that I was able to somehow pull that off on launch day, and now I'm having issues with getting it any other time. I mean, I know it's going to be rough. Actually, I can't remember if I got the Xbox One on launch day or not, but I think this might be the first system that I've actually ever purchased on launch day, because I'm more of a conservative person when it comes to buying new consoles. I like to see it if it's going to catch on fire or hurt me.
That is the problem. If you're the first person, you usually get the broken stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at the point now, and I don't want to maybe knock on wood on this. Absolutely, Mike. You better hit something over there that's made of wood. You have something in your head that you can hit a metal plate. But I think we're getting to the point now, and this might be speaking generally, but where the hardware sometimes isn't always the problem anymore. It seems like it's the software running on the systems that they always have problems with now.
Well, it's like anything else. We're the bug testers.
That's Microsoft in general. Yeah,
we're the bug testers. So once we find the bugs, then they go back and fix them. But of course, you're the first guy playing the broken game, and then if you just wait 3 or 4 months, you could probably get a game that wasn't broken.
Sure. And we know, JM, you're looking for a Series S, so anybody got one out there that they want to give away for free, you can send that to John Mazer. We'll give you his address,
That's
and we'll
right.
we'll dox him and everything.
Send it to me.
We're big Xbox fans here, so well, at least me and John are. So we play our
I am
Friday
an
night
ex
games.
I'm not going to say I'm a fanboy. I definitely more so since Game Pass come out, because Game Pass is the greatest thing
That's
in
why I am too.
gaming subscription history, just about. And I just saw PlayStation's unveiling their new one. I didn't really read too much into the article, so it'll be interesting to see to do, but I am always Xbox first. All my friends, and that's really what it comes down to anymore, is, if you have your friends on PlayStation, then yes, get a PS5. But all my
That's right.
friends are on Xbox, aside from my brother-in-law. So I don't want to play games with him.
No,
So-
here's the thing. They're pretty much the same. It's all what you like. The problem with PlayStation for me is they come out with 1 or 2 games a year that are single player, and I'd rather be a multiplayer. I like to play with my friends. And Microsoft's always been big on everything should be multiplayer. I mean, God of War, yeah, it's a wonderful, great game, but once you play it and you beat it in a week or two, then it sits on the shelf and you got nothing else to do the rest of the year. With Xbox multiplayer, I can play, different multiplayer games every day of the week,
Yeah, everyone direct your hate comments towards Mike Sashini, and
That's fine. Hey, you don't, everyone has their own opinion. If I'm not telling anyone to go Xbox or PlayStation. I mean, I like Gears of War. It's one of my favorite games. But I have a PS4 and it sits there 9 months out of the year without being used, and only used like 2 months out of the year.
Yeah,
It's true. There's only 2 games I buy for the year. I mean,
I agree. I agree with you. I got the PS4 as well, and I do have a decent, nowhere near what I have for the Xbox. But I'm mostly on Xbox. When I'm jumping back and forth between Pittsburgh and Cleveland, my PS4 stays in one place. My Xbox is what comes with me, which is going to be a little bit more difficult now that it's a refrigerator, and I'm going to have to basically have it shipped via Penske truck or something every time I do something. But
I don't know. The new PlayStation 5 is actually bigger and heavier from what I hear.
It is bigger. I was just making a joke about it. Did you
I know,
saw
it's
that Xbox actually ran with that joke, and they made that one off the refrigerator. They actually did a refrigerator, a black refrigerator, and put an Xbox logo on it.
Yeah.
I would like to. I'm going to do my refrigerator's black. I need to get an Xbox logo to put
They
on.
got the logo, the button logo, and you need a this slot.
Right. That would be a good talking point when I have people over, because they'll see it and they'll be like, what the hell is this?
You
And
could probably make it with stickers. You know what I mean? Make the stickers and put them on the refrigerator.
I'm going to bust, when I get my Xbox Series X, I'm going to bust the logo out of it and put it on the refrigerator.
But so who wants to say what systems they grew up with next?
I'm going to let John go, but I just wanted to comment that we are trying actively to get John JM a Series S so he can play Sea of Thieves with us.
That's right.
We're looking for Sea of Thieves players, and nobody that's going to troll us. But we are trying to find.
They're just trying to get me to lose sleep. That's all.
Oh,
It's only one night of the week, Friday nights.
John. Well, we're going to get you on. We're going to start you off at one night a week, and then we're going to
Right.
do 7 nights a week. And
All
then
right.
maybe 9 nights a week if we can find a way to do that.
There you go.
But we're trying to get John that system. Game Pass is going to be great for him. So, if you have anyone that's geriatric in your family and you're looking for Christmas gifts, I think this is a good way to keep their acuity in their mind. He's retired and he's already losing it. It's only been, 2 months now, and he's basically got dementia already. I mean, you can take.
All right. Can I have the floor, please?
There's your introduction, John Mazer. Please take the floor.
I can't share though. Sorry.
Why not?
I don't know.
You can't share your. Oh, because
I
you're
know
not
why. We'll get him fixed there.
Yeah, make him a co-host.
I can't. You have to.
Oh, geez, don't leave this up to me. Anybody watching this now, we were actually going to try to stream at 9:15, and we didn't get on till like 9:30 because I totally borked up the stream somehow. But there, your co-host, John.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, I go back to my gaming days started in 77 with the Atari 2600, but my first computer was this thing called the Timex Sinclair 1000.
Nice.
And it had a whopping 1K of memory. and it ran. I think I can't remember exactly, but I think it had cassette tapes that you loaded into it. There was a separate cassette drive that you loaded the tapes into the memory, but it had the keyboard on this is a membrane keyboard, so it was just you just basically had to really push on it to get the. It wasn't very good for typing at all. It just basically you could kind of hunt and peck on it, but that was my very first delving into technology. Was this little computer called, and in fact they actually just resurrected it for modern times. It's called the Timex Spectrum, I believe. 100 is the one that they.
Did it keep good time?
Is that the same as the ZX Spectrum, the ZX Spectrum?
It's
not the same console.
It's a spin-off of that.
Do you still have your Sinclair 1000?
I do not. No.
Just for the record, sorry, while you guys are talking and putting up consoles here, you guys got pictures. I wasn't prepared for that, but I'm kind of looking at prices on stuff on eBay because we're all collectors as well. Here's a Magnavox Odyssey 2, 1050 is the current bid with 3 days left, so I can't imagine that's going to get too high. Here's your Sinclair Timex, John, $39.
You can still buy it, huh?
You want one?
No, I don't.
I'll get you one for Christmas.
Anyway, yeah.
Hey, at least it's affordable.
Yeah.
Anyone looking for a new PC? There you go.
So yeah. So after the Timex Sinclair, I got into gaming. I got into the Atari 2600, which at the time was very popular, had lots of games and very easy to use. And the graphics were crude for that. Well, I guess they were okay for that time period because it was an 8-bit system, but the games were fun. I had fun playing it. And then after that, let's see.
My best friend had one. That's why I'd play Atari games. He'd come over my house and play Magnavox games. So
it was strange because in 82, when I was in school, they made us get this machine, the Commodore 64, and we actually connected to the school through the modem on here, and we were actually doing online homework and classes. Now there was no video back then, obviously, but it was sort of ahead of its time. Believe it or not, this is one of the highest selling computers of all time. I forget how many systems they sold.
It was a good system.
It was a good machine for graphics and gaming, and it was very powerful for the time.
Were you connecting to like a school server that had the work on it, or what was?
Yep, that's what we were doing.
Really cool, actually.
Yeah.
What year was that? Not to date you, but
that was ahead of its time back then.
Do you know what year do you think that was?
That was 82 to 85.
Yeah. And now look, everybody's doing online. Geez,
Yeah.
I got both of my college degrees I did online.
Yeah. It's just amazing how far we've come. But anyway, so I had the Commodore 64, and obviously when school was done, I kept it because that was part of the tuition. And I liked it so much that I actually picked up a portable version of it.
I love the way those look. Yeah.
This was a little 4-inch color screen. This was a 5 1/4 floppy drive. You could actually get a second one if you wanted to, if you were trying to do a disc to disc copy. This keyboard actually you just folded it in towards the screen. It locked in place. You had a carrying handle and everything was built in. So there was even a slot. I think it's up here. It's hard to see, but there was a cartridge slot up here for any kind of games. But I had one of those. I sold it, but so it played games fairly well. It was pretty good system, and I liked the fact that it was portable. I could take it anywhere. I didn't have to have a screen if I didn't want to. There was a port in the back to allow for a second monitor. You could hook it up to a bigger monitor if you wanted to. So it was kind of ahead of its time too, as well.
How much did that thing weigh?
It was probably about 40 pounds.
It's not too bad, I guess. Just
That
have a
was-
hernia. That's all.
I mean, for back then, you know.
Yeah.
that
And
was
then
light
along
for back
came,
then.
and then my next purchase was, and of course, you guys knowing me, you know this is one of my favorites. It was the ColecoVision, and that was the graphics on this were superior to the 2600. The one claim to fame for the ColecoVision was that they had a lot of arcade ports that they acquired that they made into games for this system, and it was at the time it was ahead of its time basically as far as graphics concerned. The demise of this system happened right around the video game crash of 1985. And that's kind of what brought this system down, because it was actually outselling Atari and any other system out there at the time. In the front, it had an expansion slot. And you could hook up a steering wheel for driving games. You could hook up a adapter that allowed you to play Atari 2600 games on here. Actually,
Oh, wow.
Atari actually sued. They sued Coleco, but Coleco won in court because the courts ruled that all the parts that Coleco used for their adapter were like off the shelf. It was nothing proprietary that they had stolen from Atari. So the courts let it go through. So you could actually play two systems on this in one. Now, the other thing they had for this was what was it called? It was called the roller controller. It was basically a roller ball that you plugged into this, and there were certain games that used the roller ball. I think one of them was like Centipede. One was Slither. There were you could use it on Missile Command and a few other games, but it was very expandable. And then the next purchase I made after that, and let me see if I can find the right.
And then he
after,
doesn't. You still have a hardware ColecoVision, right?
I do, yes.
Working.
Now, go ahead.
No. I've just said it's working.
Oh yeah, it's working. And I actually had it modded so that I could hook it up to a modern TV. It now has HDMI out. So
Have you? I asked you if you had any old systems that were going the HDMI out earlier, and you guys both said no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, you know what?
Lies.
You know what? I sort of lied, because what they did, they modded it so that it's composite out, but then I can run it into I bought a adapter that it has composite in, and then it has HDMI out. So it's sort of HDMI, but in a roundabout way. So anyway, but then after the ColecoVision, I purchased from Coleco what was called the Atom computer. And this was actually a full-fledged computer it had tape drives here, it had dual tape drives. This one doesn't show dual tape. But what was neat about it is the ColecoVision actually plugged into the Atom computer and expanded the memory and all that jazz. The one I'm showing here is more of a standalone Atom, but you could buy it in two versions, standalone, or you could buy what was called the Atom expansion module, which allowed you to take the original ColecoVision and use some of the hardware to enhance the Atom computer that I purchased. So, and the system came with a daisy wheel printer, a keyboard, joysticks, and all that jazz. So that was my next purchase. And then around that time is when I got married, and I sort of got out of gaming.
Ooh.
And didn't really. I then when I did come back into technology and gaming was around the time my kids were asking for, us to purchase systems for them. So the next thing after the Atom, there was a long stretch there, was the GameCube, which I had, and I wish I still had it.
Love it.
kick myself for getting rid of it.
That's such a dark horse system too. There's so many overlooked good games and stuff for that system, and everybody always talks about the PS2 and the Xbox and overlooks the GameCube. The GameCube's awesome.
I know. I wish I would have kept mine.
It has a huge library.
I think we've talked about this, but I had an expansion piece of hardware for underneath the bottom here that allowed you to play Game Boy games.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
You could pop your Game Boy games in. And in fact, I'm pretty sure, and I think we may have discussed this as well, but there was a module here that allowed you to insert a RJ45 cable into the GameCube as well. So I'm not sure what they were doing with that back then, but because that was like the late 90s, I believe, somewhere around there, maybe even early 2000s.
I think 2003 is when the GameCube came out.
Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, but it was quite a while ago. But then, so I had the GameCube, and then we had some handheld games for the kids, the Game Boy and the DS system. We had the portable ones, and then the last one that I have right now that I still have, if I can find it, where is it? There is the Wii. I still have the Wii that we use from time to time.
You just bought a game for it recently. What did you buy for that?
I just bought a game. It was called Rec Room Games. Yeah. So, but you can actually, there are Wii emulators that allow you to emulate other systems that you can actually play on this because it does have an SD card slot. So I can emulate the ColecoVision on this. I can emulate other systems on this.
Right.
And plug it into the SD card slot and boot it up, and
it's actually a very popular system for emulation.
Yeah. Yeah. So that takes me up to the current time. And like John and Mike mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm currently looking to get an Xbox Series S to start getting into gaming again. So I'm looking forward to that. But
he's not looking forward to it at all. Don't listen to him.
That takes us up to my current situation. So
and all of us have had a lot of PCs too that we game on.
Absolutely.
Well, we don't want to go through all them.
No. When I owned PCs, I really wasn't too much into the gaming aspect of it. I was more into the productivity and.
Well, I think all of us were, but
productivity.
Anyway, that's my story as far as the gaming. Now it's John's turn to tell us his story.
For anyone wondering, yes, I am eating the other half of a Big Mac right now.
Oh, cool.
Kind of random, right? I got hungry. I got the munchies right in the middle of the meeting.
Now I'm hungry for one.
Hey, John, tell everybody where they can find us again.
Techegy.me is the website. We're also on YouTube. It's Techegy Pod on YouTube. We're also going to be available on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So you do us a favor. I'm not exactly sure how the algorithms work, but if you can give us a like and a comment, you can say whatever you want. You can say, hey, look at these idiots. Just give us 5 stars on your favorite app and get us up to the top of the charts.
There you go.
And our website right now is kind of under construction, so give us a couple weeks to get that updated.
I have failed. I was supposed to do it today, and then my power was out this morning. There's a lot of wind. I'm in Cleveland, so right against the lake. It's just rain and wind all day. Power was out. A little bit ago, I saw the light flicker from the corner of my eye, or maybe I'm having a stroke. I don't know. But
we better wrap this up before the power goes out.
Yeah. Me and JM, we're from Pittsburgh area, just in case people are wondering. So
I'll give you your address if you put in the comments, hey, I really want to beat those people up. I will put the addresses. I will dox anybody in this podcast. Just kidding. Okay, so I guess it's my turn. So I have not been gaming since 1971 or 1977. I am a little share of a baby. So I started out a little bit later, but I am definitely into the retro and the vintage consoles. These guys know this. I don't want to say I know my stuff, but I know some stuff. But so the very first console, quote unquote, that I can recall, and I've actually put some thought into this. It was actually a PC. My dad had ham radio stuff. He had a special room. Daddy, if you're listening, speaking of strokes, by the way, yeah, my dad had a stroke. He's all right, but it was a minor one. I just had to make that joke because I always do.
Quit stressing him out, John.
I wasn't even there. He drove
I know
himself.
you- I know
He
you
drove
weren't.
himself to the hospital. I'm like, what are you doing? Ugh. Anyways, so he had a ham radio room and he was real into it. And I think he kind of still is. He doesn't do it so much. So and we had a big obnoxious antenna that's still on the side of the house, you know. But he had I it was a DOS machine. I don't recall any early version of Windows until Windows maybe 95 or 98. But trying to remember the first game. It was a mix of Doom. My dad was friends with some guy through the ham radio clubs and that actually modded the diskettes and had these weird versions of Doom. I remember one where I remember distinctly taking a powered electric toothbrush to Barney's head, the purple dinosaur. I killed him with an electric toothbrush when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So that's kind of why I'm the way I am, because I've had this horrible experience with these weird things that I probably shouldn't have been doing at that age.
You're starting to scare me now.
But I remember that distinctly. I also remember playing the Star Trek game. I believe Interplay is the company that made that game. That's a really good game. It's not really action oriented. It's kind of more of an adventure. You're doing a lot of clicking and some puzzle solving and stuff. But I really like the ship combat mechanics when you're getting in there with the bird of prey and you're trying to blast them out of outer space and Kirk's freaking out and everyone. It's a really good game. So if you haven't checked out Star Trek by Interplay, I believe they released was it an expansion, or I don't think it was a totally separate game, but it was Star Trek Judgment Rights was the second version. Maybe it was an expansion. I'm not entirely sure what the difference
They
was.
had a number of Star Trek adventure games.
There's a ton of them, but I'm just talking about that one specific one. I actually have I have a couple of them for the Super Nintendo. I think I have one for the Genesis. I'm a Star Trekkie. I'm a Trekkie above Star Wars. I like Star Trek better than Star Wars. I have I have a Star Trek watch that my uncle got me, and at 12 o'clock, this when I was younger, he didn't just get this like yesterday for me. But Uncle Rob, if you're listening, you can get me more stuff. Please help. But whenever it got to the top of the hour, it would play a little jingle, a MIDI jingle of the Star Trek theme. The do 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 do.
At least Star Trek has gravity, whereas Star Wars does not.
Well, that and Captain Kirk was the manly man that slept with all the alien women. It was awesome.
Yes.
I aspire to be Captain Kirk. He was a good dude. All the red shirts died for him, but somebody had to. You couldn't kill off Kirk. As long as you wear, it was red shirts, right? Or was it yellow shirts? If it was red shirts.
No, he had the yellow shirt.
No. I mean the ones that died all the time. It was the red shirts.
But I meant Captain Kirk was a yellow shirt.
Yeah, he was a captain. He was captain.
The other ones could have been yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, because Spock was blue, at least in the movie.
Right.
In the movies. I don't think he was in the TV series.
Yes, he was.
Did he wear blue in the TV series?
I'm pretty sure.
Those colors mean something. There's like engineering and stuff wore different colors than that. I'm not that crazy.
In other words, yellow and blue people couldn't die, but all the red shirts could die.
Right. I think I'm not sure who my favorite character, and we are way off topic, by the way. But I think I really like Dr. Bones because he had a real dry sense of humor.
Yes.
I loved Scotty, the guy that plays Scotty. Please, I can't remember his name right now. I am going to kick myself for this because I should know, but just a really funny guy. If you watch him on other stuff outside of Star Trek, they're good people. So anyways, I'm gonna share my screen here.
Back to retro gaming.
Yeah, back to what we were actually talking about. So just so everyone knows, we all cannot focus on anything for crap. So whenever we get into conversations, we're going to be all the way somewhere else on some other tangent about something. And I'm starting to do it again right now. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen before I get too lost. Okay. So anyways, so it was a DOS. Did that work? What happened? Oh,
no, it is.
I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first time using a Mac. No. So this is I don't know, you guys,
Duke Nukem, love it.
that is Duke Nukem as a platformer. That was actually how the game first came out before it was a first person shooter. It was a platformer. We can actually check that out, some other time. But yeah, that was the game that was in this picture, but I do call playing that game too. And this led into the PC gaming for me. Doom, Duke Nukem, Blood, all the first person shooters. I missed. I think my dad had Mist or some game that was like Mist. I know Mike loves looking at him. I can see him. Look at the smile on his face. I can see him getting all
Oh, I
giddy.
love all them games. Doom,
about-
Mist.
And I actually, when I was younger, I didn't really like the kind of adventure game, the point and click adventure games too much, maybe like Day of the Tentacle or Monkey Island. Loom is another really good one. And Loom was interesting because the mechanic in it was music, I think, right? There was notes that came across the screen and you had to do certain things. So it was really totally different, but I wasn't a big fan of those kind of adventure games back then. And I'm just now being able to appreciate.
Hey, John, remember the night I brought out the bin of all the PC games I had, the
yeah.
old ones, and we went through every one of them?
I think Mike and I were on Zoom until 2:30 in the morning. He had all kinds of computer games, some in box. Some...
Maybe we'll have to do a podcast on that sometime. I can show all the PC games.
We come up with our old collection and see what we can put together, and we can
That's
talk
what I
about
mean.
that down the road.
We
Yeah,
can show what we owned and what we liked.
yeah.
That would be
John,
cool.
we don't have to worry about John. He'll only have like 2 things. So,
I bet he has a bunch of them somewhere.
So really, this was my first introduction to gaming. This was what I remember playing first, even before a console. And it's actually funny because my very first console that I got for Christmas in 1990, I think 94. I'm not sure. Yeah, because it came out in 91. I think I got it in 94. Was the Super Nintendo? Was actually my first system. Still my favorite system. We'll do a podcast where Mike and I argue back and forth about the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, which one was better. So if everybody wants to have that fight in the chat, please go ahead and argue about that, because
I'm all for the Genesis.
the Genesis should have won. But
We wouldn't have spent too much money on the other 2 systems, the Dreamcast and the what was the other one?
Dreamcast is another extremely overlooked system. That's another dark horse. That was
what was the one they did before that? Saturn. Right.
Yeah, I actually
Saturn. Yeah.
I have a Saturn that's modded so that I can make backups and play it on it. So the Super Nintendo, I was playing games like Super Mario World, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past is still to this day one of my favorite games. Obviously, Super Mario World, Super Mario All-Stars, F-Zero Racing, all those goodies that were on the Super Nintendo. What is it? Something like, and this is just a list that a website made, but like, what is it, like 75% of the top 100 games of all time are Super Nintendo games or something like that. I forget the actual statistic. You have stuff in there like Sonic, obviously, for the Genesis. So it's funny because my dad did buy me a Genesis at one point, and I don't know what happened, whether, I was like 4 or 5, so I wasn't an AV guy, and I'm still not, but we just could not get it to display an image on the screen. I remember there being music, and unfortunately I was gutted because we ended up returning it, which was okay, because the first game that my dad bought for it was the Ren and Stimpy game, which was absolute trash of a game. So I'm glad I didn't have to grow up with that one single game, but I did miss out on some good games. The Castlevania Bloodlines game for the Sega Genesis is a great Castlevania game. So if you haven't played that one or didn't even know that there was a Castlevania game on the Genesis, go check that one out. It's Castlevania Bloodlines. It's actually harder, I think personally, than like Super Castlevania 4 is on the Super Nintendo. So having the Super Nintendo, I had a neighbor that had the regular Nintendo, the NES, and he ended up moving away at some point. I don't recall years here, but I just remember that he had a problem with peeing the bed. So sorry if you're out there. I don't even remember your name, but yeah, you peed the bed a lot. So he moved, and one of the things that his parents did, because we actually hung out a lot, I remember going over to his house, his mom, maybe I never even thought about this till right now, but his mom left the Nintendo for me. They gifted it to me when he moved away, and I never even thought about this, but did his mom want him to give that away, or did she just do it anyways and he was out of a system now? But it came with like the Super Ninja Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, which was trash. California games, which was trash. I'm gonna get hate for that one because a lot of people like that game, but it's trash. And it came with Mario, Duck Hunt. I remember I still have all this stuff working. And my grandma was great at this time because when I got a little bit older, she found out that if you called the Nintendo of America number that's on the console, you could send it in and they refurbished it for us for free. They cleaned it up and sent new controllers, the dog bone controllers, which I actually don't like. I like the blocky rectangular controller, but they sent us like a brand new console almost. They refurbished it, and that was really cool of Nintendo to do that.
Was that for the NES, John?
That was the NES. My grandma did that. She did it. She's called them and sent it in to them, and then they a couple weeks later they sent it cleaned up and everything.
She probably wanted to play. That's why she did that.
I played games with my grandma. I have a lot of good memories. Rest in peace, grandma. But of playing like PlayStation, I had SmackDown, WWF SmackDown. Vince McMahon, please don't sue us. I know WWE, but it was WWF SmackDown at the time, and I remember playing that with her a lot. On there, she didn't, she wasn't really understanding of what was going on or how to use the controls, but she just humored me by playing some games with me. I remember they would put pictures up as the loading screens, and they would have a wrestler on there, and there were women wrestlers, and they always wore scampy clothing, and every time one would come up, she would freak out because she thought it was porn. So yeah, the Nintendo was my second actual console that I owned. And then I don't even know, did I get more pictures of stuff? I don't know what this is. Oh, that was me searching. It's all the further I went because you guys were too fancy. But I then got an Xbox. I got a PlayStation 2. I actually missed out on, I got the Nintendo 64 before then. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite games still. It's top 5 for me. Maybe number 1, to be honest with you. I think that might be my favorite game of all time, but I think we're going to talk about that here in a couple minutes. So to current now, I try to keep up with all the consoles and everything. I'm collecting a lot of the older vintage stuff now, which we all are doing that. Like I said earlier in the stream that I just bought an Amiga 500. I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting my new Xbox at some point. Looking forward to all of us playing and constantly making fun of John because he doesn't know what he's doing. Is going to be a thing, so we're gonna try not to make him cry too much. But I mean, yeah, that's what I grew up with. I'm sure there's a lot of people with similar stories to me, and there's a lot of people with similar stories to John and Mike with the systems and the PCs. But yeah,
I have a good story from being young.
Go ahead.
John actually Major showed the Atari. What was it, 2600, I guess, and my friend's friend had one, and his dad from work brought home a ROM burner. So what he would do is they'd go to the store, they'd buy a cartridge, bring it home, burn the ROM, and send the cartridge back to the store. So he had every game for the Atari.
We know
which is illegal and everything, so we're not going to mention his name or anything. But at least I got to play every Atari game there ever was.
They were backups. They were
backups. That's all we were doing, backing them up.
Right now, Atari really was. I mean, for a while there, they were king because they went from the 2600, and then they went to the 5200, and then the 7800 because they were trying to keep up with Coleco because the graphics.
Well, look, Atari started Pong. That was the first one. I had an Atari first.
Right. No, but I'm just saying, like they had a lot of systems. They had the 26, the 52, the 7800, and then they started coming out with computers. I believe they had the Atari 400 and the Atari 800 and the 1200, I believe.
Did you guys? Was it the Jaguar, the Atari Jaguar? Is that who made that system? Because that system.
Yeah, I think that was gaming system.
It was a system. It was a CD system. It was. Yeah. They were trying to bring it back and compete with the PlayStation.
They were.
Yeah, that one didn't do too well. I don't think.
Oh,
they were pretty. Yeah, they were in the game back then. They had a lot of systems.
It's in fact, speaking of that, I mean, what are you guys' what system did you want to get that you couldn't get, or you couldn't afford to get, or it was one that you wanted to get, but you just weren't allowed to get it or something? I remember what mine was. I always wanted the TurboGrafx 16 one.
I didn't even know about that one until I got older. So it was Dreamcast for me.
Yeah, I can't really say that there was one that I really wanted because I sort of, like I said, I kind of I lost, I wouldn't say I lost track. I just lost interest in the gaming, due to other stuff happening in my life.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you're getting older. You had the,
yeah,
you had family
but
responsibilities.
I just want to say that, and maybe, maybe some of the listeners know this, maybe some don't, but, the ColecoVision systems are still out there and there's a handful of guys throughout the country they're doing wonderful refurbishing of those systems and modifications to them. But a few years ago, there was a company called it was called Collector Vision, and they actually did a Kickstarter to make a new ColecoVision system, and they came out with it. I actually own one; it's very nice. They're based out of Phoenix and Montreal, and uh, so there are systems still out there that are thriving.
Well, I mean,
Not just Coleco, but other systems as well.
there's still people out there making physical cartridges for these systems. I mean, Sega. I know there's what's that company called that they make 2 or 3 new carts for that game. One's about Pittsburgh. I know
Well, the the homebrew community is really big.
it's something homebrew or something.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I mean, I don't know what the name of the company is, but I know they make homebrew, and I know the one for Pitt that's like Pittsburgh. It's called Coffee something. I don't know.
Well, there's still homebrews being made for the Atari 2600. So
There's
it's just
homebrews still be made for a lot of systems.
Yeah, which is nice that people are
Yeah.
still making stuff for them.
And what's nice is they're, even for the 2600, because those graphics back then were, they were not very good. They were, 8-bit, but they're doing some fantastic things with the Atari 2600 graphically. So
Yeah.
a lot of fun stuff. It's fun to be in the retro game right now because there's a lot of fun stuff going on. So
And
sure.
why don't we go around the room here and say? I mean, I don't want to say your favorite game because I don't have just one favorite game, but what I'm gonna give 3 of the games I really liked to play when I was young.
Yeah, let's do 3.
Say
That
that
sounds
there
good.
isn't other ones I like maybe even better, but I know when I had the Sega, I really liked to play Road Rash 2, Kid Chameleon, and Rolling Thunder 2. Them games I still play today. I bring out the Sega system and play. Is there any games like that you guys got?
well, I was a big I liked sports a lot. So any kind of games related to sports, I was into. And I know John said that he didn't like the California games. I love the California games. I love the winter games. I love the summer games. I love the California games. Actually, there was a company called Epix. I think it's called Epix.
EPIX, right?
They made the summer, winter, and California games, and they did a pretty good job of pulling that off and making it pretty realistic. But I was into a lot of sports games, so whether it was Olympics or baseball or football,
That was
those are
actually my
the,
next question.
those are the kind of games I liked on the Atari and on the Coleco, and I like them on the Wii and the GameCube as well. So
Yeah, that was kind of my next question. What type of games do you like?
yeah, I mean, I didn't really, I can't like, I can't be that specific, but if it was sports related, I sort of kind of navigated towards that. So
JC, what was your favorite game?
Oh, I'm gonna name 3 off the top of my head, and some of them are, maybe a little bit newer, but the Legend of Zelda series, 100%. Doom, the Doom series, the Wolfenstein series, Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls
Oh yeah, well
series.
yeah, I like all them too. Them are
I
newer. I'm
Skyrim,
far back.
right? But Sky, I just want to say real quick, Skyrim is probably I've put way more time into Skyrim
Yeah,
than
Skyrim may be one of my top number ones for
like
all.
I was at the point where I was almost, should I be embarrassed? Because it would tell you how much time you've had in it, and I was like hundreds of hours sunk, and I still pop it in. I pull it up on my. I have it on. It's one of those games you have on every console. I have it on
Yes,
Switch,
I
PS4.
have it on everything I own. PC,
Fallout series
Xbox.
is another one. Even the original PC Fallout series, like the Wasteland style ones.
Yeah, they were cool.
So I don't know. I don't favorite kind of game. I don't know. I'm definitely a big first person shooter, and I don't necessarily mean Call of Duty stuff like that, but I love first person shooters. I like RPGs. Final Fantasy series is another one of my favorites. Uh, Final Fantasy,
Yes.
Castlevania is another one. I love Castlevania series. Um,
Yeah, see, I'm an event. I like adventure games and RPGs, and I mean a good shooter. I mean, I don't even do driving games, but probably adventure game is one of my favorites because you can just relax, play an adventure game, find out a new story.
yeah, I'm definitely appreciating those more
What?
at 30 than I did at 10.
Yeah, yeah. JM, what's your favorite type of game? Sports? Is that what it was? Or
Well, I mean, I like some of the like I like Castlevania and I liked Duke Nukem and
Yeah.
but I like I said I sort of gravitated toward the sports games, but I wasn't totally opposed to some of those ones that were popular. I played them, but like I said, most of my stuff was
Hey, you used to love Madden football.
yeah. No, I mean, and like I said, the ones that I liked, and I know I keep running back to the ColecoVision, but a lot of they had sports games as well, but um, I think I mentioned this earlier in the podcast, but they had a lot of uh, games that they had ported over that were arcade um, games, and they got the rights to them for the ColecoVision, and they ported them over, and they did a for the most part they did a pretty good job of porting them over to the ColecoVision system. So those are like things like Galaxian and Joust and
Yeah, they were good games.
Defender and the ones that were the classic arcade games that were out there. And I liked playing those as well, Qbert and things of that nature too. I mean, I wasn't opposed to playing those, but like I said, I did like the sports more.
I have Qbert on my phone. They released it like a year ago or something. I love just playing on my phone. They like
Yeah.
redid it a little bit, and they have like a scoreboard and stuff. You'll catch me playing that all the time on my
I
phone.
will tell you, probably if just from what I can recall, one of my favorite games that I used to play in the arcade was Frogger. And there were many ports for that, the Commodore, the Coleco, Atari, all. And I love playing Frogger on that. So if I had to say maybe one game, I'd say Frogger might be one that I played that was non-sports that I really liked a lot. So
My mom loves Frogger. I had it on the PlayStation. I'm
I
pretty sure
like
she's
Frogger
the only
too.
one that
Frogger-
played it.
Although I used to really love Tempest and owned my own Tempest machine, I still do, but it doesn't work right now. But
yeah.
I actually have a video arcade Tempest machine. Unfortunately, when I went to move it to my new house, it broke. But I used to love it. I played it all the time.
Did they make any Tempests for like gaming systems? Like, was there-
Yes, but they're not the same because Tempest was a vector
Mhm.
game, and there's only a few games out there that were vector, whereas
Mhm.
all the new games are raster.
Right.
So there was something about, I can't say. I mean, some of the emulated ones are really, really close, and they
Well,
seem almost
were-
as good.
So
But
there
they're
were
not,
there
not the same way.
were there ports to other? I mean, there were some ports though, right? Of
Well, no, because most systems are raster. So,
okay.
they had to recreate the game raster instead of
I
porting it
see.
vector. And that's the problem with this machine. Because it's vector, the motherboard on it or the board on it has hundreds of chips. They create the vector part of it. So any one of them being shorted out or dead causes the whole thing not to work right. And,
Got it.
if I could find someone cheap that could fix it, I'd love to have it fixed, but I don't want to spend a lot of money on it.
Well, maybe someone just listening, or they could give you a lead on where to get one fixed. Or
Yeah.
something.
It'd be great.
Yeah, no, I'd love that because they're rare too. There isn't a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot of them out there anymore because it's vector. In fact, there's only 200 games made vector. Well, I don't want to say two. I think there was Tanks was a vector game.
Yeah,
and
Tanks
I don't know if
was.
you remember the old green tank
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
There was a Star Wars one. And then most other games are raster. So to find parts for them and stuff, it's really hard.
I'm sure there's a Tempest um,
There is, but if you have
conference
if you have
somewhere.
a stand-up Tempest machine right now, you can make a lot of money on selling it. I mean, they go for. I was looking online one day; they went 30,000 for a Tempest machine. I thought it was ridiculous,
You
but
should check in
that's
Facebook, Mike, and see if there's a Tempest group.
well. There's a place out in California. I found out I could send the motherboard to get fixed, but I got to send it out to them and relying on them fix it and shipping it back to me. And what the problem is, a lot of them people just keep the board and sell it online to someone else.
Mm.
You have no way of getting it back. There's a raw. How do you know who's not a bad guy or good guy when you send your
Right.
board to them?
Right.
So.
Well, we haven't even talked about the retro gaming on the Raspberry Pi, but that'll be for another episode.
Oh no, that needs to be a whole episode.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that. We actually made some good time here. I think we got an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We were talking about how long we want these podcasts to go. So just real quick, we did a lot of stuff. I do want to say I talked about a couple things. If you've never played that Duke Nukem side-scrolling platformer shooter, you should definitely check that out because a lot of people don't know about it. And it's actually pretty cool, and it's not the first-person shooter people are used to.
It is pretty cool.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say for the podcast format, what we're looking at is probably gonna do one once a month just because schedules are hard to line up and stuff like that. And we might do some one-off specials or something because one we've been talking about is doing a Black Friday stream, checking out some of the deals and so that's going to be next Friday. What's the date on that? Is it the 26th or 27th or
27th?
Yeah, so we don't really have a time or anything right there for that now, but stay tuned to our Techegy.me website. We'll have the time and stuff on there once that all gets figured out, hopefully soon. Also, if you want, you go to the contact page and subscribe to get email alerts. So anytime that we put out new episodes, and anytime there's big updates or anything, you'll be the first to know. Also, again, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. It's going to be Techegy Pod is what you're going to need to search in there. Another thing real quick that I was joking around about, but I think I'd actually like to do is some kind of live Christmas stream where we play some ridiculous Christmas themed games. And I do know a few of them out there. There's one where you have to run from LeBron James because he's trying to kill you with that Christmas Sprite cranberry drink. It's so stupid. It's such a dumb game. I've seen it. I think it was released a year or two ago. It's just the weirdest thing. There's a couple first person shooters that are Christmas based. I know there's like Doom mods. There's one I'm looking at right now that's Elf Bowling. Santa hates unions for some reason. I guess he doesn't want to pay fair wages or whatever. I don't know. But you bowl the elves, you knock them down with balls. There's all kinds of cool stuff. We're going to do something, it's not going to be on Christmas. It probably won't be Christmas Eve, but expect, maybe the week of Christmas. I don't know what everybody's schedule is right now for that, but
that's pretty cool. And the thing is, since we are called Techegy, we're all about tech. So we're not always going to do gaming. We may do
right.
Linux, Raspberry Pi, 3D printers, quadcopters, drones, whatever. I mean, we're going to do what we want whenever we feel like it. And, hopefully you'll like what we got to show. And if you don't, tell us,
Yeah, we are totally open to people making, giving us ideas or even, once we vet you and everything, of course, we would love to have people on to talk to. We had an interview set up for tonight that unfortunately fell through, and that's okay. We're going to do it again. We'll do it in the future. And I've got some ideas that I had turning in my head, even maybe bringing on those Coco Computer Club guys.
That'd be great.
At some point, I'm super interested in that right now for some reason. But I'd like to do an episode just on retro computers someday, and we'll do other stuff like we can do electronics, we can do Texas Instrument calculators.
John, one quick thing I wanted to mention here.
Yeah.
If you want to relive your past, go to this website, archive.org/details/internet arcade. Plug a joystick in, and you can play all these games right on your computer.
Right in your browser, right?
Right in the browser. Yep. You don't even have to, but you need to plug a USB joystick in, and you can play a lot of these games for free by going to that website. So,
and not only that, don't they have like the documentation on them and everything?
Everything's there. Yeah, everything you need to play them is there. So but you can even, this is just, I think a lot of these are just like the internet stuff, but you can actually play the some of the system games as well. Those games are in this website as well. You just have to search for them. So, but anyway, I just wanted to share that. So
Very cool. Radical. Yeah. So we got a lot of things coming up. I don't know if we're actually going to do structured. I would like not to do structured shows. I like keeping the format open where we can just banter and talk back and forth instead of saying, here, we're going to do this and next week. So we'll be like, hey, we're going to be talking about retro computers next week or next month, or, maybe we'll do a special episode just on, maybe an hour or something, maybe a little shorter. I don't know, maybe longer. I don't know how long our live stream for Black Friday sale will be. It could be an hour. It could be 3. I think it just depends on what everybody can do in that. So we've got a lot of ideas coming up. This is the first episode. I think it went pretty well. We didn't really, aside from me getting this going live at the beginning, I don't think we really had any hiccups.
We had a few, I think, little pauses in video, but
I didn't notice them.
Yeah, I noticed you a couple times.
Huh.
It lagged a little, but that
Well, that also doesn't affect the actual audio podcast.
Yeah, hopefully it does not.
yeah, if you're listening from the audio side, it's not going to affect it. But
yeah, so yeah, we're going to do stuff. We're going to do anything tech, electronics related. Maybe we'll talk about operating systems one day, whatever it might be, newer operating systems. We're going to definitely do Linux. That's John's wheelhouse. So we're going to let him talk for an entire hour and a half about Linux, which is not anything that I'm not used to. So, but no, it's going to be great. Again, I've said this a couple times, we do have a lot of stuff planned. So final words, boys. Mike, John, what would you like everybody to know? Do you have anything else you want to tell anybody? Any ideas, things that you want to get out there or get off your chest right now?
I just want everyone to stay nerdy, my friends.
Yeah, stay nerdy, my friends.
Everyone stay nerdy. We're not friends. I don't want to be your friends, but just stay nerdy.
All right.
Stay nerdy. It's,
cool.
All right, guys. Good
Awesome.
first episode.
Yeah, again, Techegy.me is our website. If you want to contact us, it's helloworld@techegy.me is the email address. Again, we're going to be on the 4 major podcasting sites, and we hope we get some of you people interested. We hope we can get some interaction, because we would love to interact with anybody listening to this. Even if you listen to this 2 weeks from now, hit us up. We are 100% interested in hearing from you. So
Like us and subscribe if you really like us.
punch that like button
That's right.
and get us up the charts. Thank you. Stay nerdy, my friends. This has been Techegy. I'm John Cornwell. John Major.
I'm
Mike
Mike
Ciccini.